Hey everyone, my name's Bob Allison, and if you're like me, you love to garden. However, if you live in an apartment complex or someplace that you're renting, finding the space to garden might be a little bit difficult. You may have seen some of these garden tables and raised garden planters and things that you can buy, but the price tag on them is a little steep. Plus, if you're like me, I like things that are made in America if I can, and a lot of them are made in China. So I decided to look at some of the plans, look at some of the photos and designs of some of the ones that are out there commercially available, and decided to build my own. It took me 2 weekends, mostly because of having to go into the hardware store for new pieces or miscuts and things like that. But I want to take some time to show you kind of what the finished product looks like, and for at least a third of the cost of what a commercially available one is. The only tools that I used were actually a handsaw, a power drill, a screwdriver, hammer, and set of wrenches. It was actually quite easy to assemble, so I'm going to take you outside now and show you some of the pieces, and hopefully you can build one of these on your own, in a weekend or two, and have your own fresh garden, fresh vegetables, or even just flowers and things in the space that can be easily stored in an apartment. Plus, the design of this is actually built so that it can be easily disassembled and stored relatively flat, as opposed to having to store the entire component altogether. So let's take a step outside. Okay, so outside, seeing some of the pieces that I have of the garden table, garden plant, or whatever you want to call it, kind of in pieces. Let's start with the first and the simplest piece to make, which would be the side pieces. For everything I used, actually 5/4 inch decking. 1x6 would be just as good. So it's each piece of wood is 6 inches wide, and each one is 4 feet long. And then I have on there just braces to hold the pieces all together. So this is actually the side that will go inside the garden, and this is the piece outside to hold the soil in place. And these will actually slide into the main table here. And the way they do that is on the side I have these little braces cut and angled in to hold the pieces in place. One of them on each side. Again, these are just using 1x2 inch pieces of wood. And at the bottom here I have little cleats to hold them in place to keep the wood from sliding in until the dirt gets in there to actually hold it in place. As you see, I have these threaded rods up here. I have one on each side. Each of these are spaced 1 foot in. One of the big things with these types of gardens is doing what they call square foot gardening. So this will help to measure that square footage as well as hold the components all together. Because the way it's designed is each of these legs, this whole side piece and these legs on each side here are each individual pieces. They are bolted together to a cross piece on each side, and attached to that cross piece are the pieces that are creating the bottom of the piece. So what would happen when you go to store it? You unbolt these 4 bolts on each leg, two in the front here, 2 on each back, and 2 in the back, and then this whole unit here can store as one piece, and then the legs and the ends all store as one piece as well. So to assemble it, I'm going to take one of the side pieces here, and then it's going to slide into place like so, and do the same thing with the other one here. So what you get is a table looking kind of like this. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some black landscape fabric and then just staple that to each of the pieces along here. I'll probably just let it flow freely down inside here just so that the soil can easily fill and move. Now an option that you have is taking, I had some leftover pieces of the 1x6 or 5/4x6. So I'm just taking a lay of them in there. I'm going to get some L brackets and put into here to give me a little working shelf. And just to kind of dress things up. I'll do it even on the back side, even though I'm not going to be actually using that side, but just to dress it up a little bit more. And then once those are in place, then I'll take and tighten down the nuts on the threaded rods here. And I'm obviously going to be cutting off the pieces that I have left over here. that's essentially it. Then once the black landscape fabric's in place, I will take and fill it with dirt. It's going to take quite a bit to fill this up, but it's essentially it's 4 feet wide from edge to edge, and it's just shy of 3 feet across. The intent was to have it 3 feet across, but my measurements initially didn't come out quite so right. But again, all in all, under $60 to create one of these, in a weekend or two, and with not a whole lot of skill necessary. One thing I do want to note too is that the angle cuts on here are completely optional. If you feel like dressing it up a little bit, great. If not, just cut 3 pieces of 3 foot long, and you can attach them to the legs all the way down if you like or not. So I hope you enjoy building your own garden table, and happy gardening.